Hey there guys, and welcome back to my landscape photography channel. In today's video I want to talk about the comparisons between the Lumix G9 and the Lumix G85. So I've been using the Lumix G85, which I'm filming this video on, for about the past 2 years now, so I have a lot of experience using this camera for photography and for videography. Now I'm mainly using it as my video camera since I picked up the Lumix G9, so I feel like I can speak a lot about the G85 and how it performs as a video and stills camera. The G9 I just recently picked up almost a couple weeks ago, I'd say, and I've been using it, a fair bit since then, so I want to speak about how I feel about the G9 compared to the G85 and, kind of like some of the differences between them. And, really, if you're looking to get one of these cameras, determining which one is going to work better for you. And, I would say the biggest reason is probably the price difference, because the G85 is a lot cheaper than the G9, because the G9 is a higher end camera and has a lot more features than the G85, but that does not take anything away from the G85. I did do a review on the Lumix G85 on my channel, which you can go check out if you'd like to hear more about that camera. So we're going to get into the price difference first, and it's actually a pretty decent price gap. Right now you can get the G85, which comes with the 12 to 60 millimeter Lumix kit lens, and I think it's only about $700 US now, which is an amazing deal for such a capable camera as a G85. Like, I would highly recommend that. I bought the camera about 2 years ago, and it was actually $100 more back then. It was $800, so it's gone down in price by $100, and that is an amazing deal. I could not recommend that more highly, I don't think. Now, the Lumix G9, just the body, I believe before was $1,200 US. The price has recently been coming down to more around $1,000 US for this body, which I do think is a pretty great deal considering that it used to cost a bit more. So that's what I paid for it. It was about $1,000 US, and quite a bit more expensive than the G85, considering the G85 is $700, and that comes with a kit lens for the body and the 12 to 60 kit lens. This is $1,000 just for the body. As far as the cameras themselves, the bodies, the Lumix G9 is actually quite a bit bigger than the G85. The G85 is a smaller, more compact camera body, when the G9 is probably more, these are micro four thirds systems. The G9 is probably more comparable in size to a full frame camera. Like, it's not a small camera body by any means. Now, I don't think that is a bad thing, considering that I feel like they packed a lot of features into this body, and that's probably why it's quite a bit larger than the G85, even though they actually have the same size sensor. Now, the G85 sensor is 16 megapixels, when the G9 is 20.3 megapixels, so definitely, increase in megapixels there. I think it's more of an advanced sensor that they put in the G9 as compared to the G85. As far as the ergonomics and the feel of these cameras, I think that the Lumix G series cameras have just some of the best ergonomics I've ever felt on a camera. Like, they really feel like they were designed to be held and used in your hand, which is what I really love about these cameras. And the G85 has a fantastic body as well. It's very comfortable to hold. I do think that the G9 is a slight upgrade to the G85. It's slightly more comfortable, I'd say, to hold in your hand, and feels like I don't think I'm going to get tired of holding this camera. The G85 I didn't either. It's fantastic. Both of them, you can feel like they're designed to be held and used for hours and hours and hours without you getting uncomfortable or feeling like something's not right. Like, everything just feels very purpose-built, purpose-placed on the camera body. The G9 does have a few additional features on the camera body. Lumix cameras generally tend to have a lot of custom function buttons where you can assign buttons to like whatever you want them to do. Now, the G85 has a few, the G9 has more. So, more custom function buttons. There are 3 on the back side of the G9 here, and then you have 2 more in the front there. So, it's pretty cool to be able to kind of customize the button layout how you want it to be, what's going to work for your style of photography, which I really enjoy. Also, something that the G9 has that the G85 does not have is this little screen on the top, which shows all of your settings and such, which I quite enjoy, because you don't always have to have the screen to look at the screen to see what your settings are, even look to the viewfinder. You can just look at the camera and see what all your settings are, and you don't have to, look for the viewfinder, open the screen to see that. I really enjoy that feature on this camera over the G85, but it's not really a deal breaker, I would say. A few more improvements on the body that I enjoy more on the G9 than the G85 would be the joystick that they have located on the back of the G9 here, which helps you, in my opinion, more quickly get through menus, and especially if you're using back button autofocus on the G9, the joystick is a lot quicker for choosing your focus point, pinpointing your focus point, and then focusing with the back button here. So I do really like the joystick in the back of the G9. Also, on the back here with that dial, the G9, you have to press each individual button. With this, it's a spinning dial, so that's also a lot quicker for accessing menus and getting through things as well. So there's little things in the G9 that I feel like ergonomically and functionally work a lot better and more efficiently than the G85, which I think they put a lot more time into designing and making it right. So I really do like that about this camera. The G9 does have a dual card memory slot, so if you want to put 2 memory cards in this for a backup in the G9 you can. The G85 only has 1, which I'm not really surprised from. This is a higher end camera, so these extra features do kind of add up compared to the G85. And then the other thing is the 80 megapixel resolution, high resolution mode that they have on the G9. It'll actually move the sensor around and take 4 different shots by moving the sensor around, and it'll stitch them all together and give you a 80 megapixel raw file that you can edit on this, which is pretty cool. Haven't gotten to mess around with that feature too much yet, but I'm looking forward to trying it out a bit more, but that's a pretty cool feature as well. Now, as far as battery life, I feel like the battery life on the G9 and the G85 are pretty comparable to each other, because I was curious about that when I switched to this camera for photos, if it would be, if I burned the batteries quicker. That has not been my experience so far. I really feel like the battery life on these are pretty similar. You can pretty much go out and I can do like a full day shoot like I would doing landscape photography, and I can pretty much, the battery will last me that entire day, which is a really great thing. I don't want to be going through batteries way too quickly. I've heard that some other mirrorless camera systems from other companies burn through batteries very quick, but the battery life on these cameras are just fantastic across the board. Also, the viewfinder on the G9 is definitely an improvement over the viewfinder on the G85. The G9 has 3,680 dots resolution and a magnification of 0.83. The G85 has the same OLED viewfinder, a smaller magnification of 0.74 and less resolution, 2,360 dots. So definitely noticeable. You can tell the pretty big difference between switching to the viewfinder from the G85 to the G9. I noticed that pretty much right off the bat, that there is quite a large difference between the two, so that was a big improvement. Also, the autofocus is pretty vastly improved on the G9 compared to the G85, especially with the new 2.0 firmware update that they did to this. So autofocus is much quicker and searches a lot less than the G85 does. And the G9 will shoot in 4K 60 frames per second when the G85 will only shoot in 4K 30. And I believe that the G85 has a much larger crop in 4K too than the G9. So the G9 is a better video camera for 4K. So really the only thing that I'd say with the G85, which is maybe better, is obviously the price point, because it's quite a bit cheaper than the G9, which, based on all the features that you get on the G9, I'm not surprised that it costs as much more than the G85 than it does. That's just kind of how that goes. Like, I kind of feel like the G9 is an improvement in almost every single way, but it does cost quite a bit more, so that's what you're getting, It's like, do you want to spend that extra money to get the upgrades that the G9 has? Because honestly, the G85 is a fantastic stills video camera, so I don't, really feel like it's going to be necessary for everyone to upgrade to the G9 when you could just get the G85. The other thing is the G85 is smaller and more lightweight, so that's kind of a plus. The G9 has a lot more features, so it is a slightly heavier, slightly larger camera. And really, that is just a quick rundown of these two cameras compared to the G85 and the G9. There are definitely more things I could go over, but I feel like I could make this video like 30 minutes or more longer, which I don't want this video to be that long. So I kind of figured I would go over the quick things that I've noticed, the differences between the two cameras over the past couple weeks that I've been using the G9 compared to the G85 that I've had for about 2 years now. So those are kind of my thoughts on that, just trying to compare these two cameras. And really, it's kind of up to you for you to decide which one you want to get. Like for me, I bought the G85 first, used that one for a while, and then bought the G9 as a second camera and as an upgrade to my stills photography camera for landscape photography. And I plan on continuing to use the G85 for my video, for my YouTube videos and everything. So that's kind of the route I went. I feel like that's a pretty good way to go. If you already have the G85, you're looking to upgrade to a better camera, especially for stills, then maybe the G9 would be good. Even for video, this thing is pretty great. So I don't know, that's kind of my thoughts on that. It's really up to you to decide which one you would, get over the other based on what you're looking for. I plan on continuing to use this G9 in the future and make more videos about it, so subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos about this camera or landscape photography, which is mostly what I do here. So yeah, follow me on Instagram at envision_adventure, link below in the description, and check out my website, envisionadventure.net. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next landscape photography video.